and welcome. I am Steven, your unbroken driver. We are driving well, I'm not really driving my Lux Black because I'm renting my car out to somebody, but that's okay. But we are going to break down this article which I found. As you can see here, we're dealing with changes to premium rides, and if you haven't already guessed, we are most likely going to be losing, we will be losing Preferred and Lux ride types. When is this happening? You can see right here, it says October 18th, 2023. Now I'm gonna read through the entirety of the article with you and share some of my thoughts on each part or section of this article, but I'm also asking you, as you hear some of these things or have your own ideas, feel free to write about that down in the comments. And while you're down there, go ahead and if you're liking my content, hit that subscribe button. Changes to premium ride types. Lyft is changing premium ride types from October 18th, 2023 through the beginning of November 2023. When the changes go into effect in your region, Preferred and Lux rides will no longer be available, and a new mode, Extra Comfort, will launch. So interesting. I didn't realize that they called these different ride types modes, but okay. This is a very important thing, but I think they kind of sidebar it, but they say, note, Extra Comfort is only available in select regions. Now this is me talking. Select regions, what does that mean? I know I have been informed by some drivers that in their region, for example, Lux Black XL is not available. And there's apparently some regions that don't have Lux at all. I'm concerned about some of these regions that don't have Lux. I'm concerned about the regions that have Lux and are gonna lose it, but then also won't be getting Extra Comfort to compensate. Not that I think Extra Comfort is gonna be an excellent ride type in order to make money. I think it's gonna be very similar to Uber, where comfort is offered, but comfort rates tend to be worse than the standard X rates. Why is Lyft making these changes? We are making these changes to simplify and improve our platform. Riders today have too many options, so they aren't requesting Lux and Preferred as often as before. This is causing more downtime between rides for drivers and lower earnings overall. Now, I have my own view on this. They're saying they're making the changes to simplify. Okay, that is probably true. Simplify the platform. And then it says riders today have too many ride options. I disagree with that because sometimes these platforms actually don't advertise all their ride types fair enough or make it as present to the passenger that they can choose these ride types, in which they won't select them if they're not available to select. So that's just my personal opinion on it. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. So they aren't requesting Lux and Preferred as often as before. We have very little data on how much Lux is actually being used and what that demographic looks like based off of the region that you're driving in. In my experience, I get tons of Lux rides. I wouldn't say I get them more than standard rides. I mean, I wouldn't expect to get Lux Black rides more than standard rides. But does Lux come in enough that it affects how much I'm making on a regular basis? And I would say significantly yes. I bought a higher end vehicle so that I could take advantage of Lux and Lux Black. Now I'm going to be limited to this new Extra Comfort, and well, that's the name of the new ride type that's coming. Extra Comfort and Lux Black. And if those aren't available or no one's taking those ride types, which I expect that they will probably be taking this Comfort Plus, I'm gonna have to drop back down to a standard ride type. This is causing more downtime between rides for drivers and lower earnings overall. Now, the only number that we have in actuality about Lux rides and how much is actually used, Sergio from the Rideshare Guys channel says that it's only being used at 6%. So out of all rides, 6% are Lux rides. But that doesn't speak to different markets and how many rides are coming in. So for example, I live in Los Angeles, right? In Los Angeles, I would expect somewhere around 30 or more percent of my rides to be Lux or Lux Black. During the week, of course, I expect standard rides to, in any time, to dominate. But when there's events, when it's the weekend, when you're coming from a game or a concert, all of these these events, right, they're gonna make it where people want to get out of the event as quickly as possible, right? We've all seen it. There's the people that'll wait for standard rides and they'll wait an hour, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. And then you've got people that are like, I want to get out of here now. They already paid hundreds of dollars on their tickets and they're just ready to go. Now, a bunch of those people will be willing to opt into Lux Black or Lux Black XL if you have it in your market. But I'm sure there's people that are gonna want that. I've seen it. Lux pings come in one after the other. And you are taking away a person's choice to pay more to get quicker service. That's what I'm seeing. I imagine that this new extra comfort isn't going to be much more expensive than the standard Lyft ride. If a person chooses to take on less rides because they only want to use their vehicle for Lux or for Lux Black, or maybe even Preferred, that's their choice. You're literally forcing drivers to drop down to lower platforms just to make earnings, when the higher platforms are going to guarantee that they don't use their resource, which is their vehicle, especially a higher end vehicle. They're not going to be using it, wasting time, making less money. And that is what you're taking away from any driver that basically got a new vehicle, upgraded their vehicle to get these higher platforms within the last 2 years. Maybe even before that. But I really feel for those who have recently purchased a vehicle within the last year or even the last 2 years. As we know, the car market has been extremely volatile. People have bought used cars at really high prices and now parts are extremely expensive. I imagine that this new ride type isn't going to pay enough for it to be reasonable to use higher end vehicles. And there's another thing to add to that when we look at what cars qualify for this new extra comfort. And I think it's going to be pretty shocking to you. Will Lyft inform me when the changes go into effect on October 18th? Yes, after October 18th, 2023, you will receive another email that will notify you when changes have been made in your region. If you receive notice about a driving exception or bonus on September 18th, 2023, specific information about this will be included in the follow-up email after October 18th, 2023. So there's a few things to unpack from that. Let me go ahead and get you to my face. Okay, so it says after October 18th, 2023, you will receive another email. That implies that you received the first email. As far as I know, I never received the first email. Now, maybe it got lost in my sea of emails. It's possible, but I don't remember seeing this in an email form or inside my app. Something interesting here is to consider that Lyft is changing its premium ride types from October 18th, 2023 through the beginning of November 2023. So what is the beginning of 2023? Does that mean the 5th, the 10th? I'm not sure. Also, I'm not sure if every market is going to be shifted over by October 18th. It sounds like it's possibly going to be a rollout that occurs between October 18th and November 23rd. The second thing it brings up is if you receive notice about a driving exception or bonus on September 18th, 2023, specific information about this will be included in the follow-up email after October 18th, 2023. So what they're basically saying is there's going to be people that will get exceptions, and we further down the article we'll see what those exceptions are, as well as the bonuses that will be given to specific drivers. Yes, there's select drivers that will receive these bonuses. All right, next section. What will happen to my ride preferences after October 18th? Once these changes go into effect, your ride preferences will update in your driver app based on your new eligibility. To view your ride preferences, open the main menu, then tap Vehicles and Devices, tap Your Vehicles, tap Select Details on your active vehicle, and then view your available ride types. The ride types you have access to depend on your vehicle eligibility, account eligibility, and region. Underneath that, you see this section here where it says click here to view your ride type preferences. You can't even click here. I'm clicking it and it doesn't do anything. It just underlines and puts the cursor. So yeah, that's an inactive button. And I'm sure you've seen this before with previous web pages coming from Lyft. What are the requirements for extra comfort? To be eligible to receive extra comfort ride requests, drivers need to meet the following criteria: complete at least 100 trips, maintain a minimum rating of 4.85, 0 safety flags in the past 20 rides, no more than 1 cleanliness flag in the past 20 rides, and drive an eligible vehicle. I'm sorry, but to me, it sounds like the requirements for extra comfort are actually higher than Lux, which I expect that this extra comfort ride type is actually going to be paying less than Lux. That is very interesting. I'm going to see if I can find the ride requirements for Lux. So I was able to find it: Lux, Lux Black, and Lux Black XL ride qualifications. Drivers must have at least 4.85 driver rating to give Lux or Lux Black rides. If you're a newer driver, you'll have to give standard Lyft rides until you have a 4.85 rating. If your rating falls below 4.85, you'll need to bring it back up with standard requests before you can get Lux rides. To qualify for Lyft Lux rides, you must drive in a city where Lux is available, drive a 2014 or newer qualifying vehicle, and then to qualify for Lux Black or Lux Black XL rides, you have to drive in a city where Lux Black or Lux Black XL is available, drive a black 2014 or newer qualifying vehicle, and then it looks like there's some more requirements in Atlanta, Boston, and Chicago. They have livery plates or livery plates on your vehicle's requirement. So this is the list of qualifying vehicles. You can look over this at your own time. I'll put the link down in the description for you. And I'm curious if there's any, so the Sequoia and Land Cruiser are considered Lux vehicles. I wonder if, I don't know if they're Lux Black though. Let's see if Toyota's in there. Land Cruiser is considered Lux Black on, right? Yeah, Lux Black and Lux Black XL. Interesting. It looks like there isn't any other requirements except for the basic driver requirements. So I think you can see here that the requirements for Lux are much less stringent, but the Lux platform actually pays you more, where the new extra comfort is going to have way more restrictions in comparison. If we go back to the other page, we have complete 100 trips, maintain a minimum of 4.85. You didn't even have to do 100 trips for Lux. Maintain a minimum rating of 4.85, 0 safety flags in the past 20 rides, no more than 1 cleanliness flag in the past 20 rides, and drive an eligible vehicle. I think that's about 5 different things that you have to manage. I'm not going to really go over all the vehicles that qualify. I'll scroll through. You can pause the video, or like I said, I'll leave the link. But I think you can see here that most cars have to be 2018 or newer to qualify. But there is one car I do want you to see that is kind of alarming that it's made the list. Now here's where the interesting thing comes in. And I know this has already frustrated some people, but if you look down at Toyota and you look at the second section there, the second bullet point, it says a 2019 Corolla. Okay, a 2019 Corolla qualifies for this new ride type, this extra comfort ride type. Now, when I hear extra comfort, I'm thinking much larger spaces, a nicer, newer vehicle maybe, especially if I'm comparing it to comfort on Uber. A 2019 Corolla, I'm curious actually, does that qualify for comfort on Uber? Let's look. Okay, here we are on the list of eligible vehicles for, let's see, so this is all the Corollas that are eligible on the Lyft platform and what they're able to access, right? So from what I see here, all these vehicles only qualify for Uber X, right? Even the hybrid, the EX, the Fielder, hatchback, it doesn't give any exception for the 2019 Corolla. That's because almost no one is going to consider the Corolla a comfort vehicle. I don't know why it's in the list. I would love to hear an explanation for this, but yeah, not a comfort vehicle. But now that you're getting rid of Lux and you're getting rid of Preferred, right? Lux, Preferred, That means that let's say for me, I have a Tesla, right? I'm driving a Tesla, or I bought a bigger vehicle, like let's say I got a hybrid Avalon from Toyota. The Corolla competes with those cars. I mean, you as a passenger, would you be happy paying for a higher platform and getting a 2019 Corolla? It's a 2019. There's something else I want to say about that, but we'll get to that section in a bit. How will my ride preferences update with extra comfort? If you are eligible for extra comfort, you will see extra comfort added to your list of ride types. If you start driving an eligible vehicle that meets the extra comfort requirements and you meet the other eligibility requirements after September 18th, 2023 or October 18th, 2023, Lyft will automatically update your eligibility at that time. Now, I'm curious, since this is saying after September 18th, are there people that are already driving with this ride type? I haven't heard of anybody driving with this new comfort or extra comfort, and it's not available on my rider app. So are there markets that are already using extra comfort since September? Based on eligibility, you will be able to toggle between the various preferences. I'm just gonna put this like right in the center so you can see it. But as you can see, all ride types is gonna include, if you just have standard, is gonna be Lyft and extra comfort. And if we go all the way down to Lux Black XL, you have all ride types, which looks like it's gonna have Lyft, XL, extra comfort, Lux Black, and Lux Black XL. What's interesting about this is it looks like shared rides is suspiciously missing, even though the article says nothing about removing shared rides. Maybe it's gonna be dependent on the market. I know we still use shared rides here in Los Angeles, and to lose that would be pretty bad considering that we have the 50 ride requirement in order to get the EV bonus here in Los Angeles. Premium only, extra comfort, Lux Black, Lux Black XL. Now, I talked to a driver, actually, I talked to Vinny about this. Premium only now forces those who have a XL vehicle to look at requests from extra comfort, which I'm expecting that extra comfort is going to pay less than a XL. So people that are driving XL vehicles that don't want to drive standard rides or Lyft rides or extra comfort have no choice but to see extra comfort in the preferred slot or premium only slot, because extra comfort is being considered as premium instead of a standard ride like comfort is being considered on Lyft. What's more is his vehicle will now be in direct comparison. His XT6 will be in direct competition with Corollas, even if he was willing to take extra comfort. I don't know what to say about that, but let me know what you think down in the comment section. All right, so what's happening to the other ride types? No changes. Other ride types, including standard, Lux Black, Lux Black XL, and XL will continue to be available based on your account status, vehicle eligibility, and region. There are no changes to eligibility to those other ride types at this time. So once again, I drive in LA, and LA still has shared rides. So I find it interesting that that's missing in this article, but maybe most other places have already removed shared, or that's going to be something that's discussed in another article. But this article is acting like shared doesn't even exist, even though it's still available in some places. Do I qualify for other premium ride types? To learn more about premium ride types, premium eligibility, please visit this place. At least that link is clickable. Well, I clicked the link because I was curious what different ride types are actually considered premium. So Lyft XL is considered premium, preferred, Lyft Lux, Lux Black, and Lux Black XL. But as we know, preferred and Lyft Lux are both getting removed from the platform. And it says it here. Note, preferred and Lux rides will no longer be available after October 18th, 2023. So what's interesting is these are the only two web pages I've seen that actually show where we're going to be losing preferred and Lyft Lux. What is an extra comfort driving exception? If you are eligible for an extra comfort legacy exception, you should have received notice via email on September 18th, 2023. Your ride preferences will update to include extra comfort rides on October 18th, 2023, and you will be able to drive extra comfort through April 30th to 2024. So keep that in mind. If you have an exception, it's only going to last till April 30th, 2024, which, let's go ahead and finish reading this, but I'm going to say something interesting about this. Note, you will need to maintain all account related eligibility to keep this driving exception, including complete at least 100 trips, maintain a minimum rating of 4.85, 0 safety flags in the past 20 rides, no more than 1 cleanliness flag in the past 20 rides. What I find interesting about this is it says this driving exception is intended to help ease the transition for you after Lux availability ends. But we already can guess that this new extra comfort ride type is probably going to be paying less than XL. It's probably going to be something between Lux and a preferred ride, or maybe it's just going to be preferred and stay at the preferred rates with a whole new name. If you've seen preferred, and I know there's some markets where preferred rides don't really come in that much. Vinny was explaining that to me, that he doesn't really get preferred rides, or maybe never receive preferred rides. I tend to get a lot of preferred rides. I just ignore them because they don't pay what I need them to pay. Most of the time, the driving time is too long for me to accept the ride because the actual amount that they pay per minute is too low. So it might make sense mile wise, and if your market is wide open where there's not that much traffic, then mile wise calculation makes sense. But in my market in LA, where I could be going 5 miles, but that 5 miles may take me half an hour to an hour to actually drive through, the per minute needs to make sense, and it doesn't with these preferred rides. This easing of the transition is really going to be, I think, for those people that their vehicle will not qualify for the new tight and strict standards of this new plus comfort. So they might get carried over because their vehicle was an older vehicle, or for whatever reason their vehicle no longer the Lux requirements for a vehicle may be less stringent for some reason, except for the 2019 Corolla or newer, I'm assuming. I don't know. The restrictions might be more strict on this plus comfort, and your vehicle might get knocked out. But to me, even worse than that, your vehicle might get knocked out because your market doesn't even get the new ride type, which is going to be this plus comfort. That's something to seriously consider. What should I know about the bonus I received? Drivers eligible for bonus as of September 18th, 2023 will be able to receive a bonus when the changes go into effect in their region. This will occur from October 18th, 2023 through the beginning of November. So actually now I find it really interesting. I don't remember if September was the original date where they were going to be taking away Lux, and then it didn't happen in a lot of markets. For some of us, we saw that the riders weren't taking Lux anymore because it wasn't available for them for one reason or another. And then eventually they were able to use Lux again. So maybe in some markets they removed Lux and never brought it back. I'm not sure. But by October 18th, we're all going to be axed. But the bonus specific to each tier are, so for platinum drivers, they'll receive $2 on every ride completed for 6 weeks after Lux availability ends. This is capped at $50 per week. For gold drivers, they'll receive $2 on every ride completed for 6 weeks after Lux availability ends. This is capped at $30 per week. Express drive renters, excluding platinum drivers, will receive a weekly $20 bonus for 12 consecutive weeks after Lux availability ends. Drivers must complete a minimum of 20 rides per week to get this bonus. So wait a minute. Platinum drivers for 6 weeks, so a month and 2 weeks, right? they're going to get an additional $2 on every ride up to $50. So what, you can make an extra $200 per if you get 25 rides, right? 25 rides times $2, you hit your $50 goal. That's going to be really useful, I guess, for those who are driving EVs, right? Because they can get that. Now it's a $200 bonus instead of just the $150. Gold drivers will receive $2, but they're going to be capped at $30 per week. So that means you have to drive at least 15 rides in order to get that $30. And then you're capped off for that week for 6 weeks. Then express drive renters, which this is interesting. So if you're an express drive renter, but you don't have platinum, right? If you don't have platinum, you'll receive a weekly $20 bonus for 12 weeks straight. So instead of the 6, you get an extra, instead of 6 weeks, or instead of a month and a half, you're gonna get it for a full 12, it says 12 weeks. So that means you're gonna get it for 3 months, right? 3 months, consecutive weeks after Lux availability ends. And then drivers must complete a minimum of 20 rides per week to get this bonus. So it sounds like if you're platinum, if you're an express driver, but then you're platinum, you're only gonna get $20. What? Express drive renters excluding platinum drivers. So I guess the platinum drivers can at least get their $50 because they've already made it up to the cap by doing 25 rides, but they won't get the free $20 bonus even though they're an express driver. And even still, they would have to get a minimum of 20 rides. So they have to do more work than the gold and platinum tier, even though they're renting a vehicle from them. They're not giving them really any incentive here. 20 rides means that you're getting $1 per ride. And as we've seen before with Uber, there's no telling if that dollar is going to be priced into the ride or taken out of the ride. It could happen. We'll see. The next thing with this says that bonuses will be added to your account on a weekly basis. So instead of you being able to cash out as soon as you make this money, right? You're going to have to wait till Tuesday, Wednesday, in order to even cash this out. It might show on your account, I don't know, but these bonuses are only going to be paid out weekly. Why? I'm assuming keeping the money on their side is more beneficial to the company than being beneficial to the driver who's already put in the work to get these 15 plus rides. That's unfortunate. It's lame that they're doing this, but it is what the article says. And then it says also, note the bonus is limited to 1 per driver. Even if you have multiple vehicles on your account, I would expect something like that. I mean, why should you get the bonus twice over just because you have more than 1 car? It doesn't make any sense. Then here, I found this part to be interesting as well. Why didn't I receive a driving exception or bonus? Unfortunately, only drivers disproportionately impacted with no definition, by the way, by these changes to Lux and Preferred have received bonuses to help ease the transition and bridge earnings gaps. Now, come on, right? Everybody that had Lux before this is going to be disproportionately affected by this. To lose Lux, which was paying roughly $60 an hour rate by my calculations here in Los Angeles, usually around $60 an hour rate in comparison to having standard Lyft or having Lyft XL, which doesn't pay that high, or having Black that rarely comes in. And I would really love to see the numbers of comparing Lux Black to Lux rides. Like, what percentage is that it's okay for Lux Black to continue? But everybody's going to be affected by this, and everybody should have access to this. Is it math based off of how much money you were making with Lux? Is it math based off of how many Lux rides you were getting before this change? What exactly is the calculation here? Is it because you have access? I mean, so are you saying that some people with Lux vehicles that are losing Lux are not disproportionately impacted? I don't know. I don't know how they're going to select the drivers, and they're not telling us. Losing Lux I think is going to affect me pretty heavily, simply because on the biggest driving days, Lux and Lux Black tend to come in pretty significantly. And when you only have extra comfort, which I expect to be a pay cut, and we'll be covering that, I'll probably be renting out a vehicle and testing extra comfort on the week as well as the weekend, and when there's events. I'll probably do a lot less events, but the big days, Friday and Saturday, I can test Friday and Saturday and see how many of these rides come in, as well as the payouts for these rides, not including the bonus, because the way that this bonus is being rolled out and how it's decided on who's gonna get it. Who knows? I might not even get it, because this doesn't give us a clear explanation on who is a driver who's disproportionately impacted. I have no idea. Losing Lux, losing Preferred, I think to a certain extent really stings. And I think that this is going to be a new way for them to drop how much money we make. And this new Comfort Plus is going to be bad for the market. I think it's going to be bad for passengers as well as drivers. I think some drivers are going to be able to benefit from it, but I think it's a haircut, and it's not going to go well for drivers.